The last PRN, saya ikut saya punya aunty, Datuk Merl Ambrose, pergi berkempen di Bangkok. She contest under tiket bebas lah. It is a very humbling experience. What I complain about yang tidak apa-apa di penampang is nothing to compare to what they don't have over there. During the campaign, it was because dalam masa 2 minggu kan, so everything is like packed. And let me tell you, to jaga SOP during the jelajah mesra was not easy. In some places ada SOP, ada yang ambil temperature, but usually most of the places tiada. And then because bukan senang, kadang-kadang bukan calon masuk kampung, bukan semua calon masuk kampung. So my auntie managed to masuk to almost all the kampung. And dorang ni bila kau jumpa calon ni, dorang rasa excited. So even when I say you cannot shake datuk petangan, you cannot peluk, dorang mau juga peluk dia. And my auntie pun, you cannot do anything. You know, orang kampung, and this like orang tua-tua semua kan. So they will hug. Even though we did this pun kan, tidak, dorang akan mau peluk juga. But during the PRN, we dropped by 3 places. One is my auntie, because my work, everything was done smoothly. All the pegawai, the rela, the police, with the PP, everything was done smoothly and everything was done sharply. It's not easy to control the crowd, especially orang kampung kan. And because I think my auntie selalu di sana juga, so they know her, dorang mesti mau peluk dia, mau gambar sama dia, mau selfie sama dia. Kan kau mau selfie 1 meter. So it's really hard, but I try and I remind all my boys juga kan, I said, tengok orang selalu pakai mask, selalu pakai mask, selalu pakai mask. That's what I try to practice. And saya sanitize semua orang. Even my auntie after she finished, pas semua masuk kereta terus saya sanitize dia. That's the only thing that we can do. Yeah.
My personal experience, time pilihan raya hari itu, I voted in Luyang. I think that polling day itself was handled very well. The suggested time slots were a good idea to control the crowd. And my time slot was from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. So when I got to my polling center, it was not crowded and it was easy to find parking pun. When I was there, the pegawai-pegawai yang on duty apa semua, they were very attentive and very proactive. There was hand sanitation at every access point, the entrance and exit. We were also given masks when we exited the polling center, and they also sanitized the ballot boxes regularly. In my line of work, I was assigned to cover the ceramah-ceramah and all that. From my observation, campaigning was a disaster in terms of SOP. Memang tiada, boleh cakap tiada pematuhan lah. There was no social distancing. People came in large crowds, and then yang pakai mask pun simpan bawah dahi, bawah dagu. So yeah. And another thing that I felt was handled poorly was postal voting. So many Sabahans wanted to vote, but they couldn't come back due to expensive airfare, obviously, and also COVID. You know, orang takut mau balik. An obvious solution would have been to allow postal voting, but the election commission failed to make the process smooth for outstation voters. So at first they said no postal voting. And then after that, apparently it was allowed, but the mechanism was not communicated well. By the time Sabahans outside the state wanted to register for postal voting and wanted to vote via post, they missed the deadline to apply for postal voting. So that was because I think that the election commission failed to clearly communicate the mechanism for postal voting. So I don't think the election itself was a mistake, because the election was definitely necessary. It's the people's mandate. It is our right. But unfortunately, I don't think it was very well handled in terms of the campaigning sejala.
Actually, Mel and Fiqah sudah cover everything. I have same opinion as them. Pilihan raya is necessary, is the people mandate, which is true. But the pilihan raya umum negeri Sabah yang ke-16 shouldn't happen now. I mean, at the 2-3 weeks ago, it shouldn't happen. Tidak kisahlah from mana-mana pihak yang mengacau ataupun yang mengiyakan pilihan raya, shouldn't happen. They should think straight daripada awal. It will be a disaster. I quite agree with apa yang Mel cakap, apa yang Fiqah cakap in terms of SOP, non-existent whatsoever. Again, goes back to benda-benda ini sepatutnya dipikir dan diperhalusi daripada awal lagi, because no matter how teliti, how apa orang bilang tu powerful pun kau punya SOP, tidak akan diikuti. And sekali lagi saya agree with Pika, especially during campaign, ceramah dan sebagainya. Siapa lagi mau dengar? Siapa lagi yang mau dengar pakai top mask or 1 meter dan sebagainya? Tidak akan didengar. Okay? So it's a disappointment lah. No matter how hard kau mau jaga diri kau, you cannot help it. You will be di dalam kawasan yang penuh 200-300 orang. There's no such thing as 150 orang or 200 maximum. There's no such thing. SPR handled it well with during mengundi. Fika and Mel bagi contoh yang paling bagus, and kebanyakan yang saya dengar pun orang akan cerita benda yang sama. You know, you go during your time slot, which is a very good idea. And also you must remember that people say that alah pasal tiada orang keluar mengundi this time around. It's 66%, you know. 2018 is 69. So dalam beza 3% ya still ramai. Still okay lah. I mean still okay. So it was smooth lah. Even for myself, I think it took me about 20 minutes from my house to Kampung Likas, mengundi, balik rumah. 20-25 minutes, which is good.
Pause.
Setuju.
I think the whatever the government and the pembangkang should, like, for once come together, you know, put rakyat first. Put rakyat first. You know, they should be more prihatin with rakyat punya keselamatan, rakyat punya kesihatan. They should, you know, come together lah for once, you know, and put us first, because we've been putting them first all this time. So can we put us first?
I quite agree with the golongan marhain, the rakyat, us. But I think when it comes to common sense among the rakyat, we can say like, guys, stop it. Pause kejap, boleh kah? But I don't think that's going to happen with the atas-atas lah.
The worst thing is the impact is not just in Sabah tau, it's nationwide now. So you cannot say that this is an isolated case. You cannot say that it's just, oh, it's okay ba di Sabah sejatuh. No, it's affecting the whole country now. So like for once, be responsible. Yeah, and it makes me so sad that it even has to be said that the government and opposition should come together and put the rakyat first. Like, hello, isn't that your job, ka? Like, from the very beginning, whether you are government or opposition, you are there to serve the people and to serve the country. Yes, exactly. They wouldn't be there if we don't vote for them, right? So we are the ones who put them in power. You serve us lah, you jaga us. It shouldn't have to be said. It's so sad. Yeah.
Saya secara humble-nya meminta yang amat berhormat, Datuk-Datuk, Tan Sri, leaders kita yang arif lagi bijaksana, yang sepatutnya menjadi leader kita, yang sepatutnya mendahului kita dalam apa-apa decision. Please consider, you know, pause for a bit, tarik nafas, tepikan kita punya persengketaan, tepikan kita punya, what do you call that, kita punya ketidaksamaan dan sebagainya, just for a while, you know, fikir rakyat, fikir situasi kita sekarang, relax a bit, chill, minum kopi, chill lah orang Sabah bilang, okay, nanti kita sambung.
What I care most about right now is the COVID case, because my friends who are doctors and nurses are overworked, and ada baru-baru my friend, dia kena sah positif. Kita jaga kita. Do you even know what the meaning of kita jaga kita? It seems like sekarang ni macam rakyat jaga rakyat. And I saw one there, Menteri jaga pocket. Which for me, it's kind of true, you know, but that is the situation right now. So can you like just like put all this aside and come together and put us rakyat first, because we are the boss.
Yeah.
I want to say not just to Menteri lah, like Mel bilang Menteri jaga pocket ka or whatever yang lain-lain. Saya rasa leaders yang lain, speak up, you know, like you don't have to just follow, oh okay, bos saya cakap begini kita diam. Speak up, you know, if you have something to say, speak up. Bukan bermakna kita mau melawan kita punya leaders dan sebagainya, but speak up for the betterment of everyone.
I'm very disappointed that the cabinet is not diverse, it is not inclusive. There are no women ministers, there are no youth in the cabinet. There are only 2 assistant women ministers, and out of the 6 elected adun, it's only 1 woman. The lack of representation. So my concern now is, like, as a woman and as a youth, how are these elderly men supposed to relate to the issues of women and youth? How are they supposed to advocate for our concerns if they cannot understand the concerns in the first place? Of course, people can argue that age is just a number, but I firmly believe that generational gap is real. The things, the reality that we're facing today and the reality that they faced in their youth are very different. To them, it's like, oh, saya dulu saya bawa RM50 pun okay ba, cukup ba? It's not this. I mean, times are so different. Times are so different. I strongly believe that to represent a certain demographic, you need someone from that demographic. You need a youth leading the way. You need women leading the way. After the previous election, the leadership that we saw at both the state and federal level were quite progressive, I would say. And that was a hopeful time for me because I felt that, oh, okay, we are already going in this direction. So that means that after this, things should get better, kan? But unfortunately, I feel like we've taken 10 steps back. So there's just a lot more work to do.
I feel the same sentiment as Fiqah. There is no women. Macam kami ni ngam kerja admin saja. Kami tidak boleh lead ke kamu, you know. So I'm going to talk about my auntie as a woman leader.
Yeah.
During most of her campaign, dia balik-balik cakap pasal women empowerment, memperkasakan wanita. I asked her why. She said because most of the voters in Bangkok are women voters. And every ceramah yang dia pergi kan, there's a lot of women. And these women want new skills, want to learn new skills. So, and then my auntie, her background is she does a lot of charity work, like with SWEPA, and she actually sent a few people to learn how to buat solar, you know. So can you imagine if she was given the right position, she can actually teach these women to self-sustain lah. You know, you don't need to depend on your husband. Because when I was in Bangkok, dia ada macam 3 jenis pekerjaan lelaki buat. You either a rubber tapper, atau kau ikan, fishery, and then bercucuk tanam lah. So the women basically, they cannot really help with the husband. They mungkin ikut bercucuk tanam atau ikut pergi jadi penoreh getah. Tapi kalau diorang ada anak, bukan diorang ada maid, you know. So they have to like stop themselves from going to work, and diorang sana memang daif. That's the word, daif. Can you imagine if they have extra skill, extra macam ni, they can sustain from themselves. It's 2020 and the cabinet, like you say, macam diorang tengok perempuan ni buat kerja admin saja. Like we don't have any skills to be leaders. And I can safely say, my personal opinion, I think ada perempuan lagi layak jadi minister in one few of the, you know, there, but I don't want to mention which ministry lah.
You know, people are saying this is what we voted for, kan? We get the government that we voted for. But honestly, if you look at the results itself, if you look at the results by party, this is not the government that we chose. The only reason we have this government today is because they decided to form a coalition. But if you were to look at the result by party, the popular vote, the results would say otherwise. So I do not agree that this is the government Sabahans voted for. This is not the government that we wanted. Yeah.
Can I argue with you on that, Fiqah? My only argument is, why is it sudah result keluar, baru Warisan Plus keluar with this argument? No, we didn't vote for this. It was supposed to be this. Sedangkan daripada awal kita sudah tahu, no, inilah nih diorang punya coalition daripada awal. Regardless lah, dia register kah, dia tidak register kah. Sebab for me, that's mainan politik lah. Bila sudah keluar, barulah will keluar, oh, diorang tidak register. Yang satu ni pun cakap, oh, tapi dulu kau begini, you know. That's my only argument lah. But yeah, I agree with you. Memang kalau kita pakai undi, is it popular vote? No, not popular vote lah. Like, you know, like paling tinggi daripada segi single party, yes, it's warisan lah, of course. But from the beginning, sudah diorang make it clear. You know, GRS is a team with SAPP, PBS, BN, PPBM, whatever lah, BN. Even bebas. Yeah. This should be a benchmark. you know, like, okay, we don't want this to happen and lagi in the future. If there's a pilihan raya, make it clear yang what is coalition, how do you ini daripada awal. The hardest part is it's not easy to fix the system and the mindset, especially the the old one, the veteran one,
The seniors.
the seniors. Okay, so choice of word, seniors. My opinion on this, saya ni suka berlapang dada. But by saying that is not, bukanlah saya bilang macam ini kabinet bagus atau tidak bagus, because I don't know. Kita baru 2 minggu, so I would give them time. I wouldn't judge dari segi macam yang ini tak betul, itu tak betul. Because terlampau banyak pakar ni. If you go Facebook, like Mel cakap, terlampau banyak toxic pakar, semua pakar. I don't want to judge just by on the surface lah. Tapi I quite agree with Fiqah. It shouldn't stop us from criticism to them for them to improve lah. Perasaan for the past 3 minggu sudah ni, 3 minggu kan sudah kita? 2 or 2 weeks?
Almost 2 weeks.
Masuk ke minggu ketiga, slow lah. Slow guys, serious.
I think that it's messy. From the start, I was in the command center during the result announcement. So after sudah kena umum result, terus dorang masuk meeting. Because they had to discuss siapa dorang punya CM candidate.
No, they were playing musical chair di dalam.
Yeah. It took almost 2 weeks for the cabinet, for the ministers to be sworn in. And we waited all this time. And then I see the lineup, I'm disappointed. So I just feel like, macam kalau, dari first impression tu, it's not a good first impression lah. But of course, it's fair what Farish said. We'll give them time. We'll give them a chance to see what happens. So first is just to talk about it, have conversations with people, but most importantly is to engage with people who have different political stances and beliefs. We have to learn to agree to disagree. Because at the end of the day kan, kalau kamu, if you want to defend your opinion sampai mati pun, apa juga kau dapat?
Betul.
Yang
Sama juga.
kau sendiri mau puas hati saja. Then after that, tidak jadi apa-apa juga. You have to keep up with the conversation, because if you don't, how are you supposed to make informed decisions at the end of the day? And I'm talking about youth lah, because the very first thing I think when it comes to youth that they need information or education on is their right as a voter, their democratic right. So it has to start from there. A lot of youths yang can vote are not even registered as a voter. And it's because they don't have these political conversations. So you have to keep talking about it. You have to keep talking about it, keep the conversation going, so that at the end of the day, you can make your own decision and you can make an informed decision. And then you can take that to the ballot box and vote and do something about it. But other than that, what I would encourage is involve yourselves with NGO activism. I think is the very good place to start. Just engage with your local community. You talk to people, get their thoughts, so you collect all these first, and then after that, and then you can keep that conversation going.
Agree what Fiqah said, keep the conversation going, get to know, turun padang. Jangan jadi keyboard warriors ya, turun padang.
I agree with Fiqah bila dia cakap, for the youth especially, get involved. But do not involve with Facebook movement. Terlampau banyak orang yang get involved when they want to talk about politics, they want to talk about serious stuff. For them, Facebook is enough. Pandai sudah aku. Kepakaran aku sudah di tahap
pakar sudah.
Facebook.
Pakar analisis sudah dia.
Exactly. So stop. Guys, stop. Facebook is not the answer. You can take Facebook as maybe your general consensus, but I agree with Fiqah. Go to the ground. Get yourself involved with NGO. Kalau tiada NGO pun, kamu sendiri pun boleh buat. Kumpullah kawan-kawan, buat hari Jumaat punya sedekah, pergi turun whatever you want to do. Then you'll faham the situation, you'll faham the real apa orang mau dan sebagainya. No right or wrong. Be bold, jangan peduli apa orang fikir pasal kau, but be respectful.
Yes.